Warning. You have begun playing this video, presumably because of autoplay finished executing before you could cancel. You can click the back button now to get to where you want to be. If you have intentionally chose to be here at your own discretion, may God goddamn bless you. Anyways, how are you doing? I hope you're all doing well, your SAD rate and blood pressure is normal, and you're keeping things in order and your cholesterol while evading infections and viruses. Sorry to be super apprehensive, it's just been a long time since I last saw you, if ever. What have I been doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. I've been making this video for you to enjoy, but also on my side I was trying to chase my real passion in attempting silent comedy for blind people, believe it or not, before eventually being mocked, spat on, and rejected by the film committee for it being too controversial and quote-unquote stupid. I was born in the wrong generation as the world wasn't ready for my type of belonging in a higher plane type of existence art anyways. The one thing the world has been ready for is Star Wars. It helped shape pop culture by working out its abs, maybe assisted with some juice and performance enhancing drugs, I'll give you that. And it also tricked people into thinking that George Lucas was actually talented. It's a franchise that seems to have everything but a lack of a Bose Einstein condensate, a laser printer, and Michael Jordan proved the contrary. Although to be fair, I have not watched the prequel trilogies, so the possibility is still up in the air. But I'm still a fan. I have posters of every Star Wars character including Jar Jar Binks on a dartboard. 2 dartboards in fact, one for each eye, and trust me, I hit bullseye every single time. Assuming stabbing it incessantly with a knife counts as an attempt. You can't deny that the Star Wars franchise have great movies up their belts. Maybe not great as The Godfather or Empire Strikes Back, but great for what a kids movie with lasers and robots can be. It has spaceships whizzing around at physically impossible faster than light speed, making the accomplishments of Apollo 11 that much less impressive. The special effects are also more convincing in my opinion. And just like Apollo 11, this is a race, aka battle to the death between the good guys and the bad. The question of Star Wars versus Star Trek is an interesting one since they are classic traditional rivals while being comparable in a multiplicity of ways. Well, they have the same number of letters, first of all. They have broken many barriers, like how Star Trek attained the first interracial kiss on screen, while Star Wars had the first incestuous kiss on screen. At least in space, that I can think of. Some people ask me if I'm a Trekkie or a Warrior, and I know that people become hyper partisan about this, but I'm a Star Wars guy, even though I think Star Trek comes a close 6th. Star Wars vlogs the crazy expeditions of the Skywalkers while salvaging the universe from an impending doom by cool plasma ray gun thingy, and at other times they will spend time not doing that and have to make ends meet by doing this. Who can forget the iconic crawl played in tandem with the equally iconic score by John Williams, which I can't play due to copyright reasons, bloody bastards. It's amazing that they've persisted on with the opening with a wall of text despite not particularly being Floyd Mayweather friendly. But you can't talk about Star Wars without mentioning the original films. The Disney lawyers have made that perfectly clear in their condescending death threats before pilfering my cat. In A New Hope, you learn about the Empire, rebellion, Jedis, and most importantly, humility and hope. The Jedi are pretty much divided against itself, which is equal to 1. Interesting fact, if a giant Thanos type purge were inflicted to the Jedi, then you have to divide by 0 and it becomes undefined, creating a singularity destroying the observable universe. The unobservable part is perfectly left intact. But there's no shortage of fleshed out, super revered characters. Some of my favourites are Solo, Lando and Greedo. Don't care too much about Gummo and Zeppo, then again who does? But Darth Vader takes the cake as the most menacing and ruthless character to have ever graced the screen. Do you know what's more dangerous than a guy coming up to your face and threatening you? Coming up to your face and coughing on you. So kids, always cover your mouth when making death threats responsibly. Luke Skywalker's arm was basically circumcised, thanks in part to his father, which apart from debilitation also caused him to lose tremendous amounts of weight, great for his BMI. Terrible for a war since making a surrendering gesture becomes next to impossible to do. But all this adds to the ruthlessness to the character that is Vader, and that he would kill his son because he is stringent to the Sith code. He drew a perfectly clear-cut line in the sand just because he thought there'll be less of the sand. But any fluid dynamics aficionados will tell you that's not the case, and would also like the lunch money back from their bullies. And apparently, the Jedi, plural and singular, are the only ones who can control the Force. A subpoint to that is the more Force you can exert, the more powerful you are, meaning anyone from Luke Skywalker to the hydraulic press channel can rule the universe if wanted.
What the fuck?
Vader is the Force choker, like some bizarre dominatrix that's for hire, even more so than Leia choking out Jabba the Hutt. It is very disturbing to see, especially as Jabba looks like a crack addict but isn't one. A stark contrast to that is Princess Leia, who doesn't appear to be one but is in fact a crack addict. Or sorry, was in fact. By the way, who doesn't love the song Jedi Rocks? I mean, the lyrics needs further refinement, mainly to appear audible in any way, but as K-pop and mumble rap fans proved, you can enjoy the song despite not understanding the lyrics, maybe even because of it. I do not understand Korean because I realized I could not understand a guy speaking Korean to me. Anyways, back to reality for now. Star Wars remains a billion-dollar juggernaut of a franchise. If the great George Lucas was alive today, I'm sure he would have been proud of what his creation... Oh wait, the old bag is still alive? Jesus Christ. Of course now, Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, aka the white slavers, remember that?
And you sold them. I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and okay, but I mean...
This is interesting, since identifying Star Wars as a slavey in this analogy makes him the previous white slave owner that sold it to him in the first place. I mean, did he not sell them their rights in which they themselves should have been entitled to? Has he not chained them to theaters, did he not? Chained! But as slaves go, Star Wars is the popular one and beloved one, despite what they say or feel. Speaking of Disney, accusations and conspiracies pervade the internet of them buying out critics on Rotten Tomatoes, but highly cerebral, objective and high IQ people on the internet have not been fooled and could see through Disney's authoritarian nature through a brick wall. If I could just go on a tangent, I say all this critic stuff is fabricated to besmirch Disney. There's absolutely no rigging with movie critics on Rotten Tomatoes, as these scores of 200%, 193% and 4000% prove. But I could be wrong, and maybe Disney is paying off every critic to write fake reviews. The alternative would be the bizarro type situation that the critics watched the movie, had a dissenting opinion from the masses and gave it a positive review out of their own volition. But not even Alex Jones could conjure up something that uninsane. Anyways, The Force Awakens box office performance has blown all its competitors out of the water, except for Titanic, which strangely enough needed something to put it out of the water. Having too many plot holes doesn't help. Regardless, Force Awakens makes bank to the highest proportions, very reminiscent of the complete opposite of Zizek's Road, which made $30, not including the $10 refund, despite a budget of $1.2 million. I probably shouldn't play this clip as they'll probably copyright claim it. They need that budget back one way or another. Star Wars is such a behemoth of a franchise that lightsaber fighting is now an Olympic sport. I'm hoping someday in the future, as opposed to someday in the past, we'll have a Stormtrooper darts competition where the audience will be gathered in front of the dartboard for security purposes. Even if it's in the Paralympics, I'm fine, and rightfully deserve to be in it, let's face it. Many people believe Star Wars doesn't just belong to George Lucas, but to the people who saw the film and deserve the unedited version. Very true, just like how my channel is yours just as much as mine. After you guys and I went at it after an intense drug-fueled night, we conceived it together after 8 months. So out came this premature, sloppy and ugly monster you abandoned, leaving me to support the hideous thing for myself. I can't do it. I have to end this life at some point and I'll leave no traces of evidence anytime soon. I forgot my overall point now. See, this is why I don't mix my personal life with my business life. See? Back to George Lucas, and he has moved on and has started a new non-Star Wars chapter in his life. He's tempered the baggage he carried on from the prequels and special editions, and he has attached that baggage to his neck. He's now maybe gardening or decorating his lightsaber collection, including the practical ones and the CGI added ones as you can see here before post-production. We live in a world now where confessing your love or hate for the Star Wars films is a political statement than an opinion about art. For example, I'm not a fan of the current films because I haven't seen it, making me the minority and unpopular, so I'm like the Greens. There's still plenty of surprise left to go concerning the Star Wars franchise. One major twist was leaked for the next trilogy and would sure to shatter the fundamental fabric of the universe as we know it.
I am the chosen one.
Don't believe me? Go ahead and watch this clip and tell me the Force had nothing to do with it. Now we're just approaching the end of my video and I want to apologize for not uploading sooner. You'd understand if you put yourself in my position behind this microphone and my script that I'm currently drafting up, or have drafted up now that I'm doing a voiceover on a script that I have just finalized or about to. But I know I'll be hearing this in editing, mulling over whether to keep this bit or delete it. You guys can only know if I've chosen to not delete it. In your position, the video is already uploaded, so I'm currently doing something completely irrelevant to this, like walking down the beach, I assume, which is your present and my present too. By default, since I'm the one doing— oh well, Jesus Christ. That's all I have for this video. I've had a great time. Not by making this dull and uninspiring shindig. I was just harkening back to when life was simple, more liberating, the pure innocence of youth, not yet subjected to the turmoil and chaos of society's manipulation and expectations to— wait, sorry. Anyways, I'll hurry up and record the next video. You know what? I'll leave the remaining 30 seconds of nothing but this rap instrumental to give you time for an off-the-cuff dome freestyle rap. So get creative, just don't transcribe it in the comments below since I'm not interested and it'll suck anyway. Thank you so much.